Before we get started on today's episode of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, Ray, we just wanted to acknowledge a tragic loss to the community down in Minnesota. 37-year-old NHL.com reporter Jessie Pierce and her three children, Hudson, Caden, and Avery, tragically passed away a couple of days ago. This was a devastating event. She had a huge presence in and around the Minnesota hockey community, in and around the Minnesota Wild. Ray, this is a really, really tough one, and we're just sending out our deepest condolences to the family and the hockey community out there.
Now, I had only come across Jessie, and I certainly did not know her, but just reading what people had spoken about her and the impact that she had, the people that she had touched and started to mentor after she had gotten her feet solidified in the business, the three children, what a horrible, horrible story. And we just, as you said, we just want to pass along our condolences to their families and her husband. And man, oh man, what a just an amazingly terrible story. Just shocking to hear.
Listening to Bill Guerin, members of the team, talk about her, it's clear she had an impact in that locker room. Mm-hmm. Listening to colleagues of hers talk, clear she had an impact with them as well. So just really thinking about the family, husband Mike as well. Our deepest condolences from the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast to the family.
You can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending.
All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
All right, powered by Rev Media and in partnership with TSN, it is the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. I am not Dregs. I am Ryan Rashog filling in for today. Dregs has the day, but happy to pinch hit because that means I don't just take chirps from the sidelines, Ray Ferraro. I get in here, I get to get scrappy, and maybe we can take a few friendly shots at Mr. Dreger. How you doing today, pal?
I'm good. Now, since you handle the invoicing, is this a little check mark on the Dreger account? Like, is there?
You want to know those details? Okay, yeah. You want to just lay the books out for everybody to see. Let's just say, I don't know if I'm going to take all of Dreg's cash for doing this episode, but, I would say a pretty good portion, I think, was probably going to be coming my way, buddy. You get a vote in this, too.
He's out.
Well, might be speaking a little
It's a short meeting.
Yeah, might be speaking a little. Let's see how I do first before we make that decision. We might see if we get through this unscathed. Good to see you at home. So you're getting to start the week out close to home, Ray. What do you got going on this week? Are you sitting tight? Or are you heading out on the road? What do you do?
No, I'm actually. I've got a game in Florida on Thursday. One of our games that you schedule early in the year, and of course, Florida Minnesota is going to be a big game. And then it's not. Well, it is for Minnesota, but really, I guess it's not because they're kind of locked into their spot. And then I'm in Detroit again on Saturday, Philadelphia, they were out of the playoffs, and now they're right on the cusp of it again. It was really cool. I got to say, I was in Detroit on Saturday, Ryan, and you could these fans, like, they just want it so bad. They just want to get in the playoffs. When you walk into an arena and you can feel the tension a little bit, like you could 100% feel it. And so we'll be back there for a big ABC game on Saturday.
Nice. Sounds great. Well, a reminder, of course, that the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast is brought to you by our fantastic title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The Tim's NHL Hockey Challenge is back on the Tim Hortons app with a chance to win daily and monthly prizes for picking players who you think will score. Plus, there's a chance to win a new Hyundai Tucson season-ending grand prize. Canadians can also try to keep a 7-day streak alive and win free coffee or tea for a week. Check out timhortons.ca for a full list of prizes. Before we get rolling on the show, we always acknowledge amazing performances here on the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. We're going to go a little off the board for this one. Zuby, our beloved technical producer, put in some kind of shift late last night in Kelowna Men's League. Zuby, what was it, buddy? 67 saves you made, or 67 shots you faced?
Well, 62 shots. I came close to that elusive 900 save percentage, but not quite. It was a 7 spot in a 7-5 loss. I'll tell you what, you know what? The 2 muffins you let in the game seems like they're not going to matter when you're down 7-3, and then all of a sudden your team makes it 7-5, and you're like, gosh darn it, I wish I hadn't let in that one little duffer. And then my a guy on my team who was doing double duty playing in the 10:30 game, they came in and said, hey, this is such classic beer league stuff. Hey, our goalie's still over on rink 2 and they're in the second period. Can you come start this game for us? So I finished my beer and put my wet gear back on and said, that's part of the goalie code. Not playing a whole game anymore, not in your 40s, but going out to cover the first period. Yeah, I said, I got to do it because someday soon someone will have to do it for me too.
Well, so 67 shots against?
62.
Well, 62. So in Atlanta.
Where were your teammates? What were they doing?
But we used to call that the reverse trap, where we would hem them in our zone and tire them out, and then we would go get a chance. And so this was a classic reverse trap. They took 62 shots, got tired, and then you guys got a couple of late ones, right?
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Pretty much, yeah.
That was Thrasher hockey right there. As John Forsland might have said, that's Thrasher hockey, baby. And another loss. Move on.
Not to get too personal about it, Zuby, but how are the groin feeling this morning? How's the hip flexors?
Low back, I think is the problem.
It's kind of balances out. Right shoulder and left hip. Those are my biggest problems right now. The groins are actually okay. Although I have right now in my left groin stretch it's a touch and go every time I get out there to get started. That left groin stretch, there's a little bit of popping going on, and I think, okay, let's see what happens when I stand up here again. And it was fine.
Well, whatever level of hockey you play out there, anybody can respect a 62 shot night. So attaboy, Zuby. 2 claps and a woo for you, buddy. I'm sure your teammates were appreciating you. With that, shall we move on, Ray?
Yes, we should. No, actually, they were pissed off that he gave up the 2 softies.
Yeah, exactly. What's with this guy? Yeah. All right, let's get to our headlines. Brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. Real fans know the move. Arrive early. Happy hour at the Canadian Brew House runs Monday to Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., starting at $3.99. Skip the couch, hit the Canadian Brew House, your home for every puck drop, every goal, every cheer, with ice-cold drinks, massive screens, and the best fans in town this hockey season. Their house is your arena. No better place to go watch a game than a Canadian Brew House. So many screens, no matter what direction you're looking, you can take in all the action. Fantastic spot is the Canadian Brew House. And those in and around the Ottawa area that would have been watching the game last night, Ray, would have been pleasantly not surprised with the result, but another win for the Ottawa Senators, make it 3 in a row, 14 in their last 19 games. Man, are they ever scrappy. A different, unique result against the New York Rangers. The stats line was just, you raise your eyebrow at the stats line of that game, but a huge win, though costly due to some injuries.
Really was. Now, first off, it was Mika Zibanejad's 1,000th game. They do the nice ceremony before the game, and then the Rangers go out there and pepper James Reimer with 9 shots. Like, not in the first period. I mean, in the game. Like, honestly, what an embarrassing performance at home this year, where they have just been dreadful. Like, dreadful. It's Ottawa. One thing about Ottawa, if their goalies didn't poop the bed early in the year, they would be solidly in a playoff spot. They have been really good. They're a good team. They're hard to play against. And then last night in the game, I mean, I honestly don't know how you overcome this, but they lost 2 defensemen who will be out for some time. One of them, Thomas Chabot, the other, Lassi Thomson. I'm not sure when Jake Sanderson's back. It better be like yesterday, because how they go into Detroit today and almost a must win for Ottawa.
Huge game.
And they got four defensemen that played last night. That I think Jordan Spence was close to 30 minutes last night. They didn't have any bodies, but it's been a pretty
26-44
impressive
he played
for him, right? Just think of that, right? Like, and now he's got to bounce back today, and he's a little guy, and that's going to be hard. But they won't, they're going to have to piecemeal a defense together today. So impressive win for them, rotten performance for New York. But that's what you get at the end of a year. When the year's gone, you have a team they're really not playing for anything except April the 17th. And, and to finish, like some nights you don't have it, and there's no fight left in the players.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it goes, like we would always say, if we were playing a team like that, if we could get them early, you break their will. They just don't have it on that. They're like, you know what? We got another game in 2 days, and we're going to just get through this game. And that's kind of what it looked like for the Rangers.
Just get them to pack up their tents and shut it down. By the way, I checked the event summary this morning. This really saves face. They got to double digits in shots. They're now being
they did.
It's now being said they have 10 shots in that game. So not the 9. They adjust them after the fact. They make sure. Some interesting stats lines from this game. You talk about Zibanejad. He had 3 of the shots. So the entire rest of the Rangers team had 7 between them. Somehow the New York Rangers won 62% of the faceoffs in that game and only ended up with 10 shots on net. They out-hit their opposition 39-20, so they were extremely physically engaged in the game, Ray. Like somewhere in there, is someone not on the bench going like, hey, fellas, like, let's maybe get something on this guy?
Well, so those stats, I'll tell you, that I watched most of the game, so I've got a general idea of it. But when I see stats like that, I'm guessing the Rangers had more block shots too. If you look at it, you probably have to.
But they didn't.
You probably have to look. Oh, they did.
They had 8 block shots.
So they won lots of faceoffs, but they were all in their zone. So every faceoff they won was in the defensive zone. They had lots of hits. Because they never had the puck. Pretty tough to hit when you've got the puck. Like that. Sometimes those numbers. I remember a year, like those numbers they tell a story, but sometimes you're like, I'm not really sure what story they're telling. I remember one year when the Oilers, they went, Ryan, you would have been, we were there together. I mean, you would have been just starting as well. I was just starting. But the year they traded Ryan Smith, so I think they finished like 1-18-2 or something like that.
Yep.
Jason Smith led the Oilers by like 100 in block shots. And so you go, oh my God, what a courageous performance. And he's got all these blocks. Yeah, they were always in their zone. Poor bugger was getting pounded in there. So you could say, oh yeah, they blocked lots of shots, or, oh yeah, he had lots of hits. But that meant they never had the puck. The Oilers never had the puck. And it was that was one of my first years of broadcasting. And I was like, good God, are these guys ever going to win a game again? And the answer was no, they wouldn't.
No, they didn't. 10 years, they didn't win another game. Yeah, I covered every one of them, Ray. I remember.
Can I tell you, our good buddy Pete Labardius, who used to do play-by-play for Sportsnet, he came and did a couple of games at the end of the year. They were in Minnesota, and they used to do back-to-back games sometimes. So we had the last 2 Oiler games of the year were in Minnesota, and they got shut out both times. So Pete came in to do these games. He never said anyone scored for both games. They were both like 2-0. It was like dreadful.
And Lou loves his goal calls. He absolutely loves his goal calls.
He does.
Okay, so the Senators, as you said, huge game against the Detroit Red Wings. Like the difference between getting in and not getting in this year for this group, Ray, like, for where they want to be, ahead of expectation here, but if they can get in and go on any sort of, what, it almost doesn't matter, round or two, whatever it is, it would be so good for this group to find a way to squeeze in here. And it's going to be tight, but important for them.
Okay, so you're talking about Ottawa.
Yeah.
You're talking about but you're talking about Detroit. Like it's the same story, right? Like these,
yeah.
and you're talking about the Islanders, and like if they could just get in, it's like the bottom of that. If you include the Metro, which you kind of have to, like the third place team. So where's Pittsburgh in this now? Are they second in the Metro?
Pittsburgh's second in the Metro, 86 points. Columbus on their heels with 85.
Yeah, and then you've got the wild card teams at 84, and then you've got the Islanders. Are they at 84 or 83?
No, you got Bruins at 86, Islanders at 85, and the Red Wings are out of the mix at 84,
right,
and Ottawa at 83 out of the mix.
So what a colossal mess around the bottom. And there used to be, it was a rarity when they had out of town clocks in the arena. And so you'd get to a place that had them, and the old Joe had them, but the clocks would get updated slowly. So you'd be on the bench. They'd say, don't look at the clocks, just focus on the game. But you'd be looking up the whole time because you're like, oh my God, they're winning, they're losing. This is where it's really super important to just worry about your own business. Because could you imagine if you're sitting on the bench trying to follow the other 5 teams? Like about what?
Yeah.
Like I was one of those guys. I would be like, okay, they're winning there, they're losing there. Oh my God, they're going to tie there. We don't like that. And pretty soon your mind's a jumble. It's a tense time, but it's awesome. This is the best time to play when the games mean like this.
Certainly going to be a fascinating finish over there in the East. Moving over to the West, the Oilers have the Utah Mammoth tonight. Oilers looking to bounce back after a couple of tough losses to the Florida teams, Ray, sitting in the third spot in the Pacific Division. And nobody wants anything to do with the second wild card spot over there and having to cross over. So the Oilers have some pressure on them, but they're also well within striking distance of winning a division if they finish really strong. It's been an interesting few days for them, a frustrating few days. I've been covering this team through this whole thing. Connor McDavid's post-game comments, which he came out and kind of clarified yesterday in the media, Ray. I want to get your thoughts on the original comments first, and then we'll go over how McDavid cleaned things up yesterday.
So the pillow fight, awesome comment.
Yeah, I laughed.
It is a pillow fight.
I started laughing in the scrum.
It's okay to be funny because everybody's saying the same thing. Like it is a pillow fight. You said like nobody wants the second wild card. Nobody wants the first wild card either.
Yeah.
Right. Like because you're gonna run into something pretty difficult, perhaps. The first one, of course, seems like a death sentence. It really does. You're like, man, how are you going to get out of that first round? I would say like the comments, of course, are generally after a game are out of frustration. You play a Tampa team. Connor is right. Tampa is extremely well coached. I mean, that is without question, somehow has never won the coach of the year. I don't get it. Jon Cooper's never won the coach of the year. He's a Hall of Fame coach, and it's not even close. And it's not because of his international record, like happens sometimes. A couple of Stanley Cups. I think he's 14 years there. Hall of Fame coach. It's not even close. And when I watched Tampa play a couple of games earlier in Vancouver, and I'm like, man, they are good, and they're relentless, and they've made a concerted effort to be tougher this year. They stick to it harder than they did in the past. I think they got tired of getting shoved around by Florida in the first round, and they're like, that's not going to happen anymore. So that gets us back to McDavid's comments. And it really did sound like, they're really organized and we're kind of not. And I would say you can see that the mistakes the Oilers make are not like the mistakes Tampa makes. Like if you look at just in that game, some of the goals, you're like, oh my gosh, like that team's not the Oilers are not dialed in. And it's been that way, Ryan. You go to every game, like it's been that way all year. They look like they're getting it, and then they lay the flattest of pancakes. And you're like, what was that? And then they play a couple good games, and then it falls away. I think one of the advantages that the goalie gets to be part of the team, right? We talk about them like they're not part of the team, like they're their own island.
Mm-hmm.
For 10 years, every time there's a big game in Tampa Bay, Jon Cooper turns around and points at the big guy, at Vasilevsky, and he says, talk to you tomorrow. That's it. It's finished. And in Edmonton, it's not been that way. And it isn't that way. Connor Ingram was fine the other night. What if he could have made one of those saves? Like maybe the team gets their feet under them. But you can't really hang it on him, but he's part of the team. The team that's been assembled, I think, is not as good as either of the previous two teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be my view of it for a bunch of reasons. And some of them are age old, right? They're just not as deep. They're not as good in the bottom end of their lineup. The Oilers
like
are
McDavid
confounding.
would sense that too, right? Sorry to interrupt, Ray, but McDavid would sense that, and that's probably part of where this frustration is coming from. A bit of a stress about where is this group at? And I feel like that frustration boils over in that post game.
Well, it does, and I mean he's not thinking about it at the time, but he signed a 2-year extension to stay. I thought he should have waited, but he decided to sign the extension, and in that time frame, right away, 7 years for Wallman, right away. So you don't get better; you just get the same guy, and now you're paying him more money. They made the trades with the goalies, and so and the way the defense was reconfigured. So basically, you give management a green light by signing if you're McDavid. And then you have to trust that they're going to do the right thing. Like there's no other formula to that because the players can only do what the players are doing. The team wasn't deep enough or good enough, and they're still not deeper, and they're still not good enough. Like for the level that they want to compete at, right? Like they're not talking about being a mid-range team. They're talking about the very best of the best. And so while he's not thinking about it at that time, there has to be this bubbling around. Like I was in Dallas 2 weeks ago, and they got their lunch handed to them there. Like it wasn't even close. And you're like, oh man, like it was one of those moments where they felt like they were coming because if you look at the two previous games, they were really good. And I asked Knobloch in our little scrum, I said, does it feel like you guys are turning the corner? And he said, well, it's been 2 games. And then sure enough, they've
won 3 games once this year. One time this year, they've won 3 straight games.
Right.
That's unbelievable.
Like that shouldn't happen. And I don't, if you're a true blue Oiler fan, you'd say, yeah, but they don't have Draisaitl. Of course that matters. Like, of course it does. He's one of the best players in the league, but that doesn't change everything else. Yeah. And they're in a funny, uneasy spot, I would say. They're saved by the initial comment that the division's a pillow fight.
Yeah.
Like they still could win the division. Like, how's that even possible?
I know it's a little nuts, but it is the saving grace. And McDavid was a little more positive about the outlook yesterday, pointing to that. So
but that's what sunlight does. That's what sunlight does, though, Ryan. That's what sunlight does.
Exactly.
Right?
When the sun when it comes out. So he has the post-game comments talking about Jon Cooper and highly complimentary. Perfect coaching. I mean, that's saying something when after a game you talk about the other team's coaching as perfect in a game that you've lost, so organized. We all heard it, right? And then when you couple that with what Leon had to say, I think it has a lot of people jumping to conclusions about what these star players feel about their coaching staff. And so McDavid yesterday came out to clarify. Ray, I've got the sound here. We were there. So here's the question and answer from McDavid, trying to clean things up a little bit.
When you talked post-game the other night, you made a lot of complimentary comments about Jon Cooper, who was just your coach at the Olympics. Yep. When you couple that with the stuff Leon had said earlier this year, some will jump to conclusions about how you guys are feeling about your staff. Can you just clarify where you're at on that?
No, we're not taking shots. It's just everybody can be better, myself included. Everybody can be better. It's not... It was more just complimentary of a great team in this league that came in and played a good game. Nothing more than that. Not sure how it was taken that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. But I understand. Obviously, it's understand how people could look at it that way, but it's not what I was intending to do at all.
Okay, Ray. I think damage control, but I think it needed to be done. I do think it needed to be done. I think what he said post-game, it set off some brush fires, understandably so. I think he needed to clean that up. You?
Well, yeah, whether he wanted to or not, he's going to have to, he's got guys like you standing there asking a question. He's got to answer it, right? So, but here, okay, so I would say this, it brings up questions about the coaching staff. Well, they brought Paul Coffey in after the Olympic break. Mm-hmm. There are questions, are there not? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, who else brings in another coach? So there's enough, skirmishes around or discussions around the coaching staff that bleeds to the team. One does not exempt the other, right? There could be issues with the players, in the depth of the players that the management have acquired. That's a question for management. There could be a message of, is this coaching staff able to get their ideas clearly and sell them to the players? And then there's a third issue is, can the players execute what the thoughts are from the coaches? And so you got three layers of things. And I like to say it's never one thing in hockey. The sport's too random. It's too fast. There's too many bounces around. But when you have from management to coaches to players, and there's a little bit of uneasiness in all of it, you end up with an unpredictable result. And I think that's where the Oilers are. When I watch them, I'm like, I kind of, in my head, I have a better team in mind. I think of them as a better team. But we're 70 games in, and unless that corner is almost a U-turn, they're an unpredictable team.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. What they could use is a goaltender that'll only let in 7 on 62 shots. That's what the Oilers, I think. Any team could use that, for sure.
That's
quickly, Ray, sticking with that game, 99 points, 46 games here. This rip that Kucherov is on is pretty unreal. Quickly, your front runner for the Hart at this point?
For me, yeah, the guy's an artist. I do a lot of Tampa games, man. I'm telling you, I just love watching him play. I think because of his demeanor, people don't understand how super competitive he is. He really is. He burns hot. One of my favorite things he does is when he comes to the bench on a change, and the plays on the other side of the ice, coaches always tell you, skate to the bench so we can get the next guys on. He comes and he puts his stick over his shoulder like a sword, and he goes to the bench. I watched that. I'm telling you, Ryan, I've watched that for 5 years. Yeah. It cracks me up because if it was anybody else, they'd wring his neck. So there is a trust and an understanding between Cooper and Kucherov. And to think that Cooper just lets him get away with this stuff, he doesn't. I was at a game, I was doing the game, and Kucherov was having a rotten night. And his enthusiasm was seeping out of him by the second. So then I noticed, in the second period, because the forwards are down at the far end. He hasn't been out for a couple minutes. So I look down the bench. He's sitting at the very end of the bench by the spare goalie. So just picture this. He's sitting there. His gloves are on the boards, right? They're not on his hands. They're on the boards. He's got his arms crossed. And he's just, it's like he's watching a movie. And it is clear, Cooper has told him, you are done.
You are Dunsville. Yeah.
And Kucherov's like, all right, well, I'm just going to watch then. But his stick was beside him on the boards. He wasn't holding it. His gloves were on the board.
Petulant.
Oh, it was amazing. So I had the game that night and then one 2 days later. And I asked him, I go, hey, when Kucherov does that with his gloves down at the end of the bench, and I said, what are you thinking there? He goes, oh, by that time, we've already decided he's not playing for the rest of the period. So Cooper's not even looking at him. Kucherov's not looking at Cooper. They're just waiting for the period to go. It's fascinating to watch. I think he is an artist. I think he is just an amazing player. And the thing that happened, they finished the season. 2 weeks later, he's on the ice. And the last summer, he's had Brandon Hagel with him. He's like, if you guys want to skate, I'll be there. But they come and they work like 2 weeks after the season.
Yeah.
And that guy's probably misunderstood. I love him as a player. I love watching him. I think he's one of the very, very best.
And wanting to be a penalty killer now too. Gets a short
why not?
goal and now campaigning for more PK minutes.
By the way, I tried that once too. I had one shorthanded goal in my career. And it was in the playoffs, by the way. Clearly, Al Arbor finally saw the light. But I was in the penalty box, and another guy took a penalty, so it was a 5-on-3. I came out of the box. The puck jumped over Larry Murphy's stick, and I got a breakaway. So I think in my career, I penalty killed for like 12 seconds, and I had a shorthanded goal. It's a pretty good average. I should have been out there more.
He certainly can make a case for more penalty kill time. Maybe
he told me to shut the hell up.
Could have been a Selke guy. Could have been a Selke guy.
No, he goes, Seagull, shut up. And so that was the end of that. That was my discussion with Al on that.
Great stuff. All right, moving along. The Department of Player Safety has fined AJ Greer 3 games for boarding. This was an interesting one, Ray. I think we all saw this coming. It was one of those ones where after the Gudis suspension and the reaction to that, you see this this boarding call, and then you take a look at previous suspensions and where they've come in, and you're going, it feels like a moment where a statement could be made, but we're pretty sure a statement's not going to be made. And the suspension comes down at 3 games. I've got some strong opinions on this, but we're not here for for that. We'll start with you. Where are you at on 3 games for this hit that we all saw? AJ Greer on Connor Zary.
Way light. Most dangerous part of the ice is the 3 feet away from the boards. I don't care. I think where the league ties itself into knots is trying to justify whether there's an injury or not. I don't care if there's an injury or not. I think you suspend the action always. The injury to me, although in this case could have been significant, is secondary to the play. The play is dangerous. It's reckless. He had time to make a decision. It wasn't a bang, bang play. It was a brutal decision by Greer. Now, the league has said, well, there is no precedence, like as they compare it to other boarding and interference calls. Then set one. Then set one. Like this, Ryan, you've known me long enough that I don't think player safety, in my mind, suspends in a punitive manner. I think part of the reason of suspending is so the next guy says, I don't want to get 10 games.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I thought this should have been 10 games. I think it's one of the most reckless, dangerous plays I've seen in a long time. The intent of the play was what? Like, what did he think was going to happen? And when you, and I'm no doctor, but when a player lies on the ice immediately and grabs his neck, Do you know how close we were to a tragic result?
Yeah.
So there isn't. And fortunately, Zary was able to skate off with some assistance. Excuse me. That should not result in a 3-game suspension.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? I thought it was, especially coming on the heels of all this, all this noise around the meetings and defending the player safety and them defending themselves and their process. Okay, great. You've got a process. In my mind, it doesn't work because that play was a type 1 illustration of why it doesn't work.
Yeah. So that play felt different, Ray. And I think anybody that's ever, been on the ice and played in a contact league, you take on a responsibility. You're going to have opposition in vulnerable positions out there. And you sort of have a trust among you, right? That there's certain actions you're not going to take because everybody is playing a dangerous game. And so you trust one another to a degree not to do certain things. And to me, there's nothing more sacred to me than the trust between two guys that are chasing a puck down into a corner and understanding that I can safely skate towards the puck without having to worry about being shoved from behind, because we all know it is the most dangerous play. There's no more. My point here is, short of, your skate blade causing jeopardy for somebody, there's no more moment in a game where you have someone's career in your hands more than following them towards the boards. And the decision to put your hands on the back of him and violently shove him towards those boards is as egregious a thing you can do to somebody else out on the ice, Ray. It's next level. It's gross. And anybody that's played the game at a contact level understands that responsibility comes with it. So this felt different, and they didn't treat it different the way everybody in the game feels. I shouldn't say everybody, but the way so many people in the game feel it should have been. It was different.
Ryan, your point is a great one, which of course bothers me to say because it's you.
Let's just sit in that for a moment.
Yeah, just quiet, sit in that. But a player could injure another player at almost any time.
Mm-hmm.
If you were so inclined, you really could. And you would get penalized and all that stuff. But there is an implicit trust in the game. I'm going to play you as hard as I can. And if I get a chance to run you over, I'm going to run you over, and that's all fine. The 3 feet around the boards is, as I said earlier, is the most dangerous part of the ice for so many different reasons. A decade or more ago, Brian Burke was promoting this idea about a bear hug around the boards. That in that play, if Greer got his arms on either side of Zary and took him into the boards, nothing would happen. It becomes a safe play. And of course, that's holding or interference or whatever it is. Greer had that option. Of many options, he had that option. He had enough time to decide, because that play started at the blue line.
Oh, man.
And
totally
so
premeditated.
He was right. He was staring literally from the hooking call, because he got a hooking penalty first. From that moment, all he had in front of him was number 47 and Zary. He could have read it and read it and that's like 4 or 5 strides. In hockey, for those that never have played, that's an eternity. Like, that is, you're trained to make those decisions like on an instant. He chose to shove him at that point. He could have shoved him
dangerous.
30. He could have shoved him 30 feet from the boards. But no, they chased him in, and he's like, bang. I think, I don't know what it's going to take for them to revamp their policy or their way they view plays. But how can the general managers get to the summer and go, like, to just postseason and go, man, we got to we got to look at this. Because what they should all think, that could be their player on the other end of it. Right? That could be their player.
Too, Ray.
Oh, the PA drops the ball on this all the time.
They got to dig in on this. Doesn't it have to start with them? Like, really, if you want significant change?
You know what, Ryan? You do. It does, because it's a collectively bargained thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of the collective bargaining agreement that they just signed the extension. The players need to go, in my opinion, they need to go to the owners, to Bettman, and say, we want a review of the player safety and the rules. We want to review that. And this one, to me, is so clear that it's almost like a comedy. There was all this discussion around the GM's meetings, and then a day later, it's this play. It's like it was like a movie that, okay, let's put this, like, you wouldn't believe it. Oh, this play is right on the heels of those discussions.
Yeah.
Like that.
We all saw it coming, though, Ray, when we heard it was a phone hearing.
Oh,
it was like,
brutal.
5 games. And even then, it's not going to be 5. The league has not handled hitting from behind and this type of boarding very well. They just haven't. They've not hit guys hard enough for the most dangerous play in the game.
And if I can say this as well, one thing that pisses me off to no end is when I hear, you've got to protect the star players. That, to me, is garbage. You have to protect the players.
Everybody from that.
And sure, you might have a higher sensitivity to McKinnon or McDavid or Kucherov or Hughes or Makar, whatever it is. You might have a heightened sensitivity, but all of the players deserve and need to be protected, because bad shit happens. And when it does happen, it needs to be punished. And that's not a punishment in my mind, not even close.
That play to me was so beyond the pale. I wonder if there weren't teammates that would have been like, dude, come on. I mean, I would hope that even teammates would have sort of said, like, we can't be doing that, man. Like, just the greater good of the game. You can't let that pass for each other. I'm not going to put words in their mouths, but Ray, would you be agitated with a teammate that such a reckless play like that?
Oh, I agitation for sure. I just don't know that anybody would. I don't know. Would anybody say anything?
Don't know.
I don't know. I hope he didn't reach out and text Zary and say, I'm sorry. Hope you're okay. Like, unless you really mean it. Like that, the difference of this play, and not to get so emotionally tied into it that you can't think, but the difference of this play in my mind was that he had time to think about the move. It wasn't a bang, bang play. And that, to me, takes away any gray area to what this suspension should have been. I thought it should have been 10 games. I mean, it is outrageous in my mind that it's 3 games.
All right. Those are your headlines, brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse.
It feels like Tim Hortons has always been part of my routine, certainly as a dad, as a coach, or taking my kids to the early morning hockeys. Had to go through the drive-thru and get my cup of coffee and get the Timbits for the kids. Can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? Then even driving into studio now at TSN. If I don't go through the drive-thru, get my medium coffee with milk, I feel like my routine has been interrupted.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.
You too. Only way to start a day.
All right, Ray, I've not been looking forward to this portion of the show. Normally I get to sit quietly while you and Dregs go over our Tim's Hockey Challenge, Ray and Dregs participation results. It's not been a good year for me. Though I did I was 1 for 3 the last day we made our pick. So I've had 2 weeks in a row where I have hit, and that is a season high for me as we bring in our buddy Chris Sabunia.
Hang on, stop. That's a season high.
What? 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row for me. I crushed it. Okay, maybe it hasn't been great. Maybe it hasn't been great. Zuby, where am I at? How are we doing? What's going on? Let's make this quick.
We can make it quick. It's funny that you use the word participation in there because that's the ribbon you're going to be getting for the Tim's Hockey Challenge this year. So I think it was no ground made up or lost. It was 1 for 3 across the board. So Dregs still has a lead of 4 over Ray. He's got 36 for 108. Ray's got 32, so that it's still within reach. And man, I want it to get. I'm not rooting, but I'd love for it to come down to the wire. And Shagar, you're at 22, so still 10 back of Ray, 14 back of Dregs. I went 0 for 3 on this past show date. The Ray and Dregs account at 122 correct for 28%. But let's get this going, Ray. You need a 2-bagger coming up.
By the way, I have not heard a statement as outrageous as that in a long time. I'm hot. I've got 2 weeks in a row. It's really hard to do. It's not like, it's not like I'm sitting there at 48% either. It's not, that's not the case, but holy Ryan.
I'm the New York Rangers coming down the stretch, buddy. I got to look for small wins.
Yep.
I out-hit him.
You did.
I out-hit
Great
him in one of
shot too.
Yeah, exactly.
A good block shot too. Way to work, buddy. Good work.
All right.
The bar is low.
The bar, she be low. All right, play along with us. That is a Tim's Hockey Challenge. You can check it out on the Tim Hortons app. We always have lots of fun with that. Thanks, Zuby. Appreciate you, buddy. So, Ray, you got any evenings off this week coming up? Because I have a recommendation for you. We don't do a lot of movie recommendations here on the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast, but I went and saw one the other night. I'm prepared to give it the official recommendation. You got some time?
Would be next week, but is it the money back guarantee?
Yeah, I'll flip you an e-transfer if you don't like it. I'll do that.
Wow.
I will do that.
Okay, what do we got?
Project Hail Mary. Don't know if you've heard about it or not. Pretty well-known book.
And you're saying
really good.
So okay, so that Cammy and I haven't been to the movies in a while. We like everybody else, you settle in on your couch, but this is where the Canucks season is right now. In the last game we did, a promo for Project Hail Mary came up. It was in the third period. It was against Tampa. It was like 5-2 at the time. And so John Shorthouse reads the promo, and I say, Shorty, that movie reminds me of like when you've got a 30-yard chip over a bunker, because Shorty has the yips when he chips.
Yep.
We got into well over 90 seconds while the play was going up and down the ice of how Shorty now chips left hand low and how he feels it's really making
saying
silence.
Guys, can we dial it in here, fellas?
Just a little bit, drag it back. So Project Hail Mary, okay, I will go give it a go. Yeah, I will say that. So I'm going to give a series recommendation. You and Randine watch series, right? I bet you're already watching. You must be watching Shrinking.
Oh, we watched one season, but didn't pick it up for anything beyond that. Shrinking, really?
We're in season 3. It is it's really funny. Once a show, they punch you right in the feels, and there's a lesson to it. It is, we just love it. It's a Harrison Ford's amazing in it. Jason Segel is the main character. I don't know. It's a well-written, funny and poignant show. I recommend it to anybody. I think it's awesome.
All right. Shrinking and Project Hail Mary. Now, you need to go into the movie theater in the right headspace, though, Ray. Certain movies ask you, take a leap with us. Expand your reality, expand your imagination just a little, and we're not going to betray you. And they did a great job. They asked you to go along for a little bit of a ride. I recommend get on the ride.
Is this sci-fi-ish?
Yes, it is sci-fi. It's a space-related movie. Get on
This
the
is a
ride,
tough
Ray.
one for me.
Expand your mind. They don't betray you. They don't do anything stupid to ruin it or make you feel silly for buying in. Go for a ride. All I'll tell you is Struds went and saw the movie the same night I did. There were tears. Struds admitted there were tears.
Yeah. We watched an episode of Shrinking last night, and there were tears. I mean, like it's
You teared up during Shrinking?
Oh yeah, you might notice I'm rather an emotional fella, and so it doesn't take much for me, but yeah, for sure.
I love it. I've known you for so long, Ray. This soft,
I guarantee you, Ryan,
of Ray Ferraro.
I guarantee you will laugh in this series, and you I know,
all right,
will be emotional 1,000%.
All right, money back guarantee.
Yes,
great
absolutely.
stuff, Ray.
I'll fund you 1 month of Apple TV.
Apple TV.
Yeah,
deal. Done deal. All right, pal. Have a great week.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
Yeah. We appreciate you. We'll be back on Thursday, I believe, and we expect Darren Dreger to be back then as well. So look forward to chatting with you then, Ray.
Okay. Have a good couple of days, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for jumping in, Ryan. Awesome.
Of course. Always happy to. Zuby, get some rest, buddy. Ice up the groins.
Yeah.
Give it a little extra stretching today. You're in recovery mode. The day after is absolutely critical. Any high caliber athlete knows that. Thanks to you for listening to the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. And thanks as always to our sponsors, Tim Hortons and the Canadian Brew House. We'll chat with you in a couple of days, folks. Be well.